What was it about feeling Randy or about this character that drew you to be a part of the movie?
I think feeling Randy to me when I first read the script, this was a very special situation where, most of the time as a actor, um, you don't have the opportunity to read the full script, or, it's really just a situation where you're auditioning and you just have to hope you get it. This was a situation where I had the script sent to me. They already had picked me for it, really. It was an offer. And so that took a lot of pressure off, and that allowed me to read the script and really um, connect with the character in a way that I don't think you normally can when there's that pressure of will you, won't you get it? Um, and so for me, when I read it, what really connected to me was how similar I was to Randy. He is a young man who is a fish out of water. He's a fish out of water because he just doesn't know who he is. And I think everyone can relate to that. Everyone can relate to that at some point in their life, where they didn't know who they were. And I think that's what really struck me was this is a story everyone can relate to. And if we do our job, hopefully this is a story that can give younger people or people of any age who are still figuring out who they are, give them hope that it's never too late to figure out who you are, and it's never too late to live the life you want to live and be who you want to be. And I think that really struck a chord with me, and that really drew me in, was just that feeling like I had an opportunity to tell a story that I think would um, touch people and affect people in a hopefully profound way in some way or another.
Well, this is based on a character of that Dean is actually, it's really Dean. In real life, it was him. Did you and Dean, the director, spend much time together, sort of discussing what he was like at that age and figuring out how you're feeling in these moments?
What's funny about that is we really didn't. It was sort of after I read the script and I really connected with it and I knew I wanted to be a part of the film. I had set up or my team had set up a meeting between the director and I to discuss and see if this was, going to be a good fit. Before moving forward and just saying, yeah, this is, we're going to go forward. Um, you know, just wanted to meet with the director. He wanted to meet with me. We wanted to see how we interacted. Um, and it was one of those situations where he put all of his trust and faith in me to bring it to life in a way that he couldn't. In the sense of he did, yes, this is, based on his life and based on his experiences, and Randy is most definitely based on him. He wanted me to really be me and bring my own spin on the character. He didn't really want it to be him, which I thought was really interesting. As also a fellow writer and director, I think it's very brave of him to give such creative control over a character that is completely based on him to a complete stranger. But I think that just goes to show that when it's the right fit, when the energy is right, when the atmosphere is right, when both of you, when two creatives or multiple creatives are just so on the same page on what they want to make, that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you just met them a couple hours ago. You trust them. You trust that that their vision aligns with yours. And so I think that's really um, where Dean and I connected, and I it made me feel um, even more confident going into the film, knowing that he trusted me. And I trusted him, vice versa. So it really was just such a collaborative effort where I brought my spin on the character, and that allowed him to really focus on all of the other elements the so many different elements that come with being a director and making a film.
Well, I talked to Jonathan Silverman yesterday, and he just praised the wonderful work you put into this movie. And we talked a little bit about masculinity. And at that time, his Randy's father is pushing him and walks in on him putting on lipstick. And it wasn't still like an exploratory time. It was just becoming that, where it was acceptable to figure out who you were and such. So, you walked in this movie a fine line between having to be this man, and that's why you go on this trip, partly because you need to prove your manhood, but also to partly figure out who you are sexuality wise and such. And Jonathan talks about, as I said, his favorite moment was walking in, doing that scene where he walks in on you putting on lipstick. What scene stands out to you as one that's a personal favorite for the work you put in?
I think it's totally, you totally hit the nail on the head. I mean, that was such an interesting scene to do with him. I mean, I can't say enough good things about him, about Margaret. I mean, they were just such a joy, such a pleasure to work with, especially Jonathan, just such a great guy, um, and a good guy, just like a good heart, and very vulnerable, very open, which I think created an even more collaborative environment because it allowed us to be vulnerable with each other because we trusted each other. And he was vulnerable and I was vulnerable. And he was just, when we were on set, he wasn't one of those guys that was just off doing his own thing, and not to say that that's necessarily a bad thing, but he just was so present with myself. And that allowed us to really work on that relationship. But I think there are two scenes that to me kind of are on the same level in terms of how interesting they were to shoot and what I think are some of the best scenes in the film. The bathroom scene with Jonathan, where he walks in and sees me putting on the lipstick, that was a very intense shoot because it's just an intense scene. But I think the other scene that really stands out to me that I think really um, explores the masculinity element you were bringing up is the scene at the Kitty Ranch where Randy has his first sexual encounter with a woman and he loses his virginity. That scene to me has always been the most powerful when I watch it in an unexpected way. Um, when I read it on paper, it came across very comedic, which it is very comedic. I mean, there are a lot of moments in that scene that are very comedic. But the way that it ended up playing out on set and then on screen, it very much took a life of its own. And again, that's because Dean allowed myself and my co-star um, to take it there. The scene kind of possessed itself. It kind of drove and guided myself and my wonderful co-star um, to what it ended up being. And I think that scene to me stands out the most because it's just really, I think that one scene encapsulates everything the movie's about. And it's just one of my favorites.
Well, I like the scenes also where it's Randy and Melissa, the moments with you and Carice. Also kind of like those moments where you're in school and all of a sudden you start like daydreaming about, the guys you're with, because then you start feeling, okay, this is Randy who's feeling these feelings, doesn't know what to do with them. And those are the moments where you're like, okay, I can tell, he's questioning his life. He's really having those moments. So those were beautiful to see as well. And certainly you spent a lot of the time with the guys. Um, did you all spend much time offset hanging out as well?
It's funny. I definitely have spent a lot of time with Tyler. Tyler's great. He's a wonderful actor. I think you can watch him in Wolfpack, and he has a new film coming out as well alongside Feeling Randy. I think he actually just went to the premiere for it. The name is escaping me, but he's just really talented, just an excellent guy. The guys were great, you know. I think it was interesting because we didn't spend a ton of time together on and off or off of set because for me, and I put that back on me because I have sort of my own process when I'm filming films or you know playing certain characters. I do um not alienate myself, but you know when we're not filming, I do typically um you know I try to stay in it as much as possible. Um, Especially when I'm dealing with such a complicated character like Randy, where there's just so much going on. I mean, it was the same when I did Joe Bell, same when I did Accused, you know, just very heavy, very layered, very intense roles. And obviously feeling Randy, um, I wouldn't necessarily say was intense, but was definitely complicated because he's just such a complicated character. But yeah, I spent a lot of time just when I wasn't on set, just at home, kind of locked away, working on the material and discovering new things. But after we filmed, yeah, we spent a lot of time together. Just, you know, such great guys, funny, sweet guys. Definitely hope to work together with them again at some point in the future.
What do you hope lingers with audiences that explore feeling Randy? It's okay to explore it's okay to explore who you are, find who you are still in your life at that young of an age. Is there an emotion or a message you hope lingers with people that watch this film?
Um, yeah, you know, I think this film, what I hope people take away from it is it's never too late to explore and figure out who you are. You know, I don't think, I mean, even if you're and you know you're as young as 15 or as old as 80 or 90. I mean it's like I think the point of the film is that you can only hide who you really are for so long. And I think that it's talking about how it's okay to be who you are, and I think the film is very poignant, especially nowadays. I think it's coming out at a really good time where people do feel more confident um, to express themselves and be who they want to be. We're in a culture and a society that's ever evolving, and ever evolving to be more and more, open and more accepting, which is amazing. Um, and I think that, yeah, I think this film comes out at a really great time for people who are still figuring out who they are. Luckily, it's not the 70s, it's not the 80s or the 60s. We're in a much more accepting time. So I hope people watch this film and, if they feel that they've been hiding who they are, hopefully they walk away from it feeling like it's never too late.
What's next for you, Reed? Have you been busy working on some on-screen projects and also maybe working on your own personal projects as well?
Yeah, well, I actually just I recently got married a few months back, so I've been really busy just with life, and enjoying and enjoying my married life. Um, but right now I'm working on a feature film that I wrote that I will be directing and starring in called Pretty Boy. I've been doing a lot of prep for that, and just doing what needs to be done to get it prepared to film. I'm in the process of putting the team together right now, and it's just been such a great experience. My wife is a part of it, um, and it's great. So right now, working on that, and just preparing every day and continuing to prepare for whatever the next role is that I can dive into.